Greetings, Mr. Megabucks. We're so excited to finally present our vision for revitalizing the Anytown Library. Your input on the library's challenges has highlighted several areas for improvement. Our goal is to create a welcoming and functional space that not only meets the needs of the community, but also inspires a love for learning and reading. Our approach emphasizes visual storytelling, allowing you to see our ideas come to life. Together, we can transform the Anytown Library into a thriving community that inspires and engages everyone. Our mission is to transform libraries into vibrant, functional spaces that promote learning and community engagement. We accomplish this by utilizing evaluation tools, innovative designs, and sustainable practices, while drawing inspiration from national and global libraries to meet the evolving needs of patrons.
Throughout our presentation, we will be discussing the current issues Anytown Library is facing and provide a list of solutions to each of them, as well as an estimate of the cost to solve them. Our team of expert consultants consists of Martina Aoki, Nicole Hernandez, Liliana Quesada Serpa, and Cristina Damiani.
For Anytown Library, we would like to address 10 issues. The first issue is wayfinding, which will be done by Christina. The second issue is security, which will be done by Nicole. The third issue is organization of collection, which will be done by Martina. The fourth issue is lighting, which will be done by Nicole. The fifth issue is programming, which is done by Martina. And the sixth issue is food and drink, which will be done by Christina. The seventh issue is digitization, which will be done by Nicole. And the eighth issue is collections, which will be done by Liliana. And the ninth issue will be OPAC, which will be done by Martina. And the 10th issue is Teen Room, which will be done by Liliana. Thank you. Wayfinding. There are three main types of wayfinding signages. The first type is identification. They should be professional and bright and welcoming identification signs at the entrance door and mark various departments such as circulation, children's, and adult areas. Second signage would be directional. They are pictogram maps or arrow signs are very useful in guiding customers where they need to go to their locations such as the front lobby, restrooms, and meeting rooms. These signs are usually in busy junction areas for easier directions for high traffic flow of people. The third type of signage is informational and regulatory. These are universally understandable and informational and regulatory signs and symbols that are clearly visible and easy to understand at a glance, such as stairs, fire escapes, and elevators. Wayfinding solutions. The first and second images here are identification signs as well as directional signs. These are permanent new signs placed in the appropriate areas that are well designed to communicate clearly in identification and directionally of the various areas throughout the library. The third type of signage that would truly enhance the library's users' experience would be the digital signs and electronic kiosk stands with touch screens that can be used as interactive images to give information and direction and can also be used as a library catalog station. Digital signs truly has unlimited amount of useful library information that can easily change daily to accommodate the information sharing and signage needs of the library. The budget we are requesting is not to exceed $25,000.
Hello, Mr. Megabucks, and welcome to the security issues portion of our budget presentation. The subject of safety is one of our priorities when creating this budget plan, as we wanted to ensure that the patrons and users of our library appeal that the library is a safe space where they can learn, grow, and work on their own projects. We seek to allocate around $850,000 to the security budget in order to address some of the most prominent issues the facilities are currently facing. The largest portion of our budget will go into increasing the security personnel guarding the facilities. This would include having a security guard posted in the parking structure to aid with navigation and to ensure the safety of patrons when traveling between the parking lot and the library itself. Another security staff will also need to be placed at the library's entrance to mitigate the unauthorized removal of materials and to ensure the peace is kept within the premises. We expect to employ a total of 4 security guards to account for time off and rotating shifts, and we have calculated their salaries for the next 5 years. We would also like to increase the number of volunteers the library employs to help staff the information desk, aid users in navigation and resource acquisition, and supplement librarians when possible. In addition to increased staff, we would like to install an information desk in the library's lobby. This will aid in greeting patrons and directing them to library services, as well as be visible from the library's entrance to ensure that patrons always know that the library is indeed open. The information desk will be manned by volunteers to mitigate the cost of running the desk itself, and funding will only be necessary for the installation of the desk itself, as well as a computer to aid with retrieval of information regarding library services. Next, we'll be discussing upgrading the library's anti-theft systems, namely through an RFID system. RFID stands for Radio Frequency Identification and consists of RFID tags or stickers that can be placed on books and other loanable materials and contain information about the material itself. These RFID tags can then be read by RFID scanners, inventory readers, boat detection alarms, and more. They can help with keeping inventory, reducing processing time for returned materials, and ultimately reduce the amount of time librarians spend lending and returning materials, thus freeing them up to complete other duties at the library. These tags are also not as susceptible to damage as traditional barcodes, meaning they last longer and are a more sustainable solution to keeping track of materials for the library in the long term. These RFID tags will also allow us to upgrade checkout scanners and implement a self-checkout station, further freeing up the time of our librarians and ensuring the capture of more accurate usage statistics of the materials at the library. In terms of funding, we would like to request a new RFID system for the library. This would include the RFID tags themselves, book detection alarms to prevent theft, RFID scanners and inventory readers to record inventory from within the library, new checkout scanners for librarians and staff to use, as well as new self-checkout stations for users, and new book returns outfitted with RFID scanners in order to facilitate the updating of return materials on
As
the
you can
website.
tell, Mr. Megabucks, any town library is plagued with a lack of organization. With your help, we will close the book on the chaotic organization of the library and start anew with a collection that patrons can't get enough of. Pulling inspiration from across the country, we will showcase our collection and promote usage to its full potential. The transformation will ensure better accessibility, relevancy, and independent navigation for patrons. We will also transform the children's library by adding age appropriate furniture, signage, traditional and front facing shelves, and multiple displays to appeal to our youngest readers. This transformation will also address the lack of displays, which play such a powerful role in promoting the collection. Relevant and meaningful print and digital displays will rotate throughout the library. Our team will deliberately select equipment and furniture to address the issues. Wayfinding changes will help patrons navigate the collection. The new furniture and the ongoing practice of weeding unused and damaged items will address overcrowded shelves. The transformation will get more books in more hands by maximizing floor space, showcasing items, and creating an environment that promotes browsing. Now, Mr. Megabucks, you may be wondering about sustainability. What can we do to prevent these long-standing issues from resurfacing? Well, book trucks will be strategically placed throughout the library to encourage patrons to return the books there instead of the shelves. And there will be ongoing resource management training for staff and volunteers. To bring our solutions to fruition, we seek a budget of $100,000. This will fund furniture, book trucks, digital displays, a poster printer, laminating machine, and more.
Now we'll be discussing the lighting issues currently found within the Anytown Library. Good lighting is vital in creating a productive and welcoming environment in a library. To ensure that Anytown Library is able to meet this standard, we are requesting funds to update the lighting solutions throughout the building to ensure patrons can enjoy a well lit environment at all times. We want the lighting in our library to be able to adapt to the needs and tasks of our users. To achieve this, we want to implement the concept of human centric lighting when creating new lighting solutions. Human centric lighting or integrative lighting refers to the process of designing lighting solutions to create a beneficial effect on people physiologically as well as psychologically. This concept, along with Madame Muxgard and Marilis Kundra's idea of activity zones, will help us tailor the library's lighting systems to our users' needs. Muxgard and Kundla developed their concept of activity zones as a response to the expanded usage and purpose libraries have seen in modern times. Libraries are no longer exclusively places for people to read and study. They have evolved to be community centers, event hubs, and much more. Therefore, the one size fits all lighting approach no longer suffices. Activity zones are a solution, allocating areas of the library for specific tasks and adjusting the lighting accordingly. In order to achieve our goal of improving the lighting at Anytown Library, we would like to increase our use of natural lighting throughout the facilities. To achieve this, we would like to take inspiration from the Seattle Central Library. The exterior the exterior of the Seattle Central Library is almost entirely made up of windows, allowing for 90% of the usable spaces within the library to have access to natural light. This creates an inviting atmosphere in the library while allowing the library to prioritize environmental sustainability. The natural light here also helps to illuminate the book stacks, which are made of clear acrylic so as to not obstruct the natural light coming from the surrounding windows. Similarly, we would like to work with the local architect to implement new windows throughout Anytown Library to increase the available natural lighting and reduce energy costs during the day. Aside from natural lighting, we would like to update the existing light fixtures found within Anytown Library. This includes implementing LED lighting, which tend to be brighter and more energy efficient than their other counterparts. We would also like to implement track lighting throughout the library, which are more easily maneuverable and can control lighting to create specific environments in different parts of the library. Last but not least, we would like to outfit the current shelving at Anytown Library with lighting of their own. This can be done by either overhead lighting that placed on the top shelf that shines down on the bottom shelves, or through LED strips that illuminate every single shelf within the bookshelf. Our estimated total budget to address lighting issues will be about $40,000. This will include the cost of implementing new windows, of updating lighting fixtures, and adding lighting fixtures to the existing bookshelves.
When it comes to describing the importance of programming, Oregon librarian Terry Lynn Chun says it best. She says, public programs help fulfill fundamental needs for community, connection, and entertainment, and they can often mitigate barriers like language or reading ability. Here are our solutions, Mr. Megabucks, to the lack of programming at any town library. Since there is an urgency to help children in the community learn and discover, our team will work with library staff to implement a variety of programming for children. We will begin by implementing weekly story time and homework helpers. Each story time will center on a theme and will follow with an activity. This will allow children to practice fine motor skills and let their creativity shine. It also models low and no cost activities they can do at home. Additional children's programs to be immediately implemented include a baby and toddler hour, which is an hour of movement, songs, and games, Fun Fridays, an after school program for children in grades kinder through fifth, and Science Saturdays once a month. We will collaborate with the city's recreation department to identify available staff to lead the movement class and with the local university's child development and education programs regarding the library as an internship opportunity as a way to recruit volunteers. To expose children to the wonders found beyond library doors, We will have zoo and museum passes available for circulation. Pulling from the wealth of resources available from the American Library Association's programming librarian and the successful programming of libraries across the country, programming at Anytown Library will cater to an array of interests and needs, such as English language classes and a job center where patrons can get assistance completing applications and resume writing. Low and no cost options that we can roll out immediately, including knitting circle and book club. Trivia and karaoke nights will be a great way to build community and also lots of fun for all involved. Recognizing that 21st century libraries do more than lend books, we will establish a seed library to provide seeds and resources for planting, growing, harvesting, and seed saving. Patrons will be able to grow their own food and submit saved seeds to share with the community.
A makerspace is a place where people can come to explore, tinker, and discover using lots of different tools and materials. Makerspaces are as unique as the people they serve. Artists, builders, crafters, graphic designers, engineers, and even those who just tinker are all makers in their own way. This gives them a space to explore new skills. We want to create opportunities for our patrons and their families to come together, learn, and create, all free of cost. We believe the possibilities are endless. So come see us soon.
We will collaborate with the local Chamber of Commerce and Trade School to coordinate training for our staff to build capacity with 3D printers, laser cutters, and design software. This will allow Anytown Library to safely and purposefully establish a makerspace. We will collaborate with the local Chamber of Commerce and Trade School to coordinate training for our staff to build capacity with 3D printers, laser cutters, and design. Can you imagine all the amazing things you can create in our makerspace? Following the success of libraries worldwide, we will establish a library of things. This will help to reduce consumption and waste while providing access to items requested by patrons. These include things that people may not be able to purchase, such as tools, bakeware, and crafts. Ramsey County's OPAC illustrates the demand for their library of things. At this point of time in July, we are looking at two very popular summer items. Check the top arrow out. There are 12 holds for the ice cream maker. And the pickleball set is not quite as popular, but there are currently 4 holds for that item. Surveys and patron interviews will be conducted to identify further areas of interest, and a volunteer pool will be established to mitigate staffing issues and ensure the longevity of the programs. Mr. Megabucks, our budget of $100,000 for our programming issues will fund fingerprint and background checks for volunteers, staff training, supplies and equipment, museum and zoo passes. We will use the ALA's programming librarian as a resource for our staff as they build meaningful programs for their community.
The issue here is food and drink. We would like to offer optimal options as far as solutions to Mr. Megabucks to see if these will be great ideas for the Anytown Library. And these are some visuals of dining areas that might be taken into consideration for this issue of having patrons bring in food and drink into the library. Oftentimes they're made to throw them out, but there are those who do, bring them in anyway, and we want to offer them possibilities of having to enjoy their food at the library in a designated area. These are food and drink dining area solutions. We would like to show you two options. We would like to allow customers to eat snacks or meals in dedicated locations to limit aromas and food and drink messes in contained designated areas. To create a dedicated space complete with tables and chairs along with new decor for those who wish to eat inside the library. That is the first option. The second option is to have an outside patio area designated for food and drink as an alternative to enjoy the beautiful weather should the customer chooses to dine outdoors. The budget we are asking is not to exceed $10,000 for the interior decor and furniture for inside and outdoor dining. Thank you.
Now we will address the digitization efforts found at Anytown Library. As Peter Westbrook said, so much of our future lies in preserving our past. This is very true, and therefore the local historical images kept by Anytown Library are priceless, and the library owes it to the community to keep those glimpses of the past accessible. According to the ALA, or the American Library Association, the community archives are now seen as being in the vanguard of social concerns and markers of community-based activism. This participatory approach exemplifies the ongoing evolution of professional archival practice that recognizes the importance of people's ability to articulate and assert their identity. In other words, preserving a community's history is vital in allowing that community to assert their identity in modern day. To address the lack of digital access to historical archives kept at Anytown Library, we will contract the services of a local vendor to completely digitize any and all archives within 2 months. The contract will include digitization and storage on a platform such as Omeka. Omeka is a next-generation web publishing platform for institutions interested in connecting digital cultural heritage collections with other resources online. A link to these archives will be posted on the library's website so that the community may access them at will. In order to sustain future digitization projects, the library will acquire software and equipment such as digital converters, scanners, and printers, both for staff and professional use, as well as patron use. In total, we humbly ask for a budget of $20,000 to accomplish our digitization goals. Funding will be used to contract services in order to digitize the images, as well as pay for the storage platform and the access for the community. We would also like to purchase scanners and digitization software ourselves so that our community may also pursue their own digitization efforts.
Let's talk about collections. We acknowledge the concern about the absence of a Spanish collection at the Anytown Library, especially considering the significant Spanish speaking community nearby. Our commitment is to resolve this issue and ensure that the Anytown Library is inclusive and accessible to all community members, regardless of their language. Our initial recommendation is to conduct a comprehensive community assessment. Some strategies that can be used to gather information include analyzing existing data, distributing surveys, holding focus groups, and engaging with community stakeholders and library staff. The purpose of this comprehensive community assessment is to identify the current and anticipated information needs of Spanish speaking community members. Our next recommendation is to purchase books, magazines, newspapers, audiobooks, ebooks, DVDs, subscriptions, and digital resources in Spanish. Our purchasing decisions will be informed by the comprehensive community assessment. However, we also recommend having a suggestion box at the library and researching information and reviews on websites such as America Reads Spanish, Goodreads, and examining literary awards on platforms like Lecturalia for Premio Planeta and Premio Alfaguara. If you were wondering, where can I buy Spanish language materials? We have the answer for you. Diana Miranda Murillo from the Austin Public Library shares valuable information about authors, publishers, and distributors of Spanish language materials in a webinar named Spanish Language Collection Development. Diana offers insights on where to buy these materials. Some examples of bookstores are Casa del Libro in Spain, El Sótano en Librería Gandhi in Mexico, Temática in Argentina, and some book distributors in the US are Spanish Publishers and Lorito Books. We will highly recommend taking a look at this webinar, and you can click at any of the images or even the video on this slide, and that's going to take you directly to the webinar, which is located in YouTube. Our next recommendation is to hire a Spanish outreach coordinator for special projects and to advertise the position as a temporary role for 6 months, excluding medical benefits. Hiring a Spanish outreach coordinator can have long lasting effects, including increased community engagement, enhanced programming, stronger relationships, and long term patron retention. Also, Spanish speaking volunteers should be recruited. We suggest creating an outreach program to enhance engagement and participation. This involves partnering with local organizations working with the Spanish speaking community to promote the Spanish language collection, library services, events, and resources. We also suggest displaying the Spanish language materials in the library and having a social media presence in Spanish. Our final recommendation is to organize cultural events, workshops, book clubs, conversation groups, film screenings, and other activities to celebrate and engage with the Spanish speaking community, promoting a sense of value, respect, and representation within any town library. Some examples here are Dia de los Muertos and this young lady dancing ballet folclórico. But there is also other examples like Dia de las Velitas in Colombia or Fiesta del Sol in Peru, just to mention a few. Let's dive in into the breakdown for the collections budget. For the comprehensive community assessment, we estimate we're going to spend $20,000. For the Spanish language materials, we estimate we're going to spend $30,000. For programming and supplies, we estimate we're going to spend $2,000. And for the Spanish outreach coordinator, we estimate we're going to spend $31,200. And that amount was calculated using the hourly rate in the website US Department of Labor, specifically on the Occupational Outlook Handbook under the librarians and library media specialist. And we are asking for the collections budget not to exceed $90,000.
We also learned from your report, Mr. Megabucks, that Anytown Library is in desperate need of a quality OPAC, an online public access catalog. OPACs allow patrons to conduct search options beyond title, author, and keyword. Patrons can also access hyperlinks in ebooks, check the status of an item in real time, message library staff, place holds, and more with language options in English and Spanish. A quality OPAC and integrated library system play vital roles in managing a library. With this funding, Anytown Library staff will have access to critical data to analyze usage, monitor trends, generate reports, catalog items, and much more. Computer stations and kiosks found throughout the library will provide easy access to the OPAC.
Online public library experiences for your patrons and staff by providing accessible features that help search, explore, borrow, and discover events at your library. Extend this magical experience by building a beautiful website from stunning pre-built or custom templates that flex to your unique brand. No design or coding skills are needed. Give patrons quick access to borrowing, content discovery, and personal record keeping on the go with the streamlined mobile app. Looking to bring the magic to your public library? We've got you covered.
We seek $100,000 to secure a 5-year license with BiblioCommons. In addition to an online catalog, the BiblioCommons contract will include 24/7 technical support, as well as synchronous and asynchronous training, ensuring that the staff of Anytown Library can maximize the product and integrate with ease.
Now, let's talk about the Teen Room. The Young Adult Library Services Association created Teen Space guidelines that serve as a framework to assess how well a public library meets the needs of teens. These guidelines and the Nordic four space model were used to inform our recommendations to create a dedicated teen space at the Anytown Library. This model emphasizes four key user possibilities: experience, involvement, empowerment, and innovation, which translate into four distinct yet interconnected physical spaces: learning space, meeting space, performance space, and inspiration space. Learning space. Learning can occur in casual and dynamic environments. We highlight the importance of having a space that is inclusive, welcoming, and able to accommodate different learning needs. A space is power. We understand that a dedicated teen space isn't just about furniture like tables and chairs. It also involves careful consideration of intention and usefulness when choosing furnishings. Here are a few examples of learning spaces that have been successful in Nordic countries, specifically from the Oodi Helsinki Central Library. If you click on the hyperlink, that's going to take you directly to their website. Meeting space. The word meeting extends beyond a formal gathering to encompass the idea of a social gathering. Teens frequently engage in social activities, and we propose hosting events and programming specifically for teens in their dedicated space to enhance their sense of ownership of that area. It is crucial to ensure visibility. Here are a few ideas for meeting spaces that had been successful at the Lupi Youth Center, and this is also in the Nordic countries. If you click on the hyperlink, that's going to take you directly to their website. Performance space. The performance space emphasizes devolution in teen services, where teens transition from consuming information to producing content. We suggest hosting teens' creative activities such as art, writing, audio, video, and digital projects in the dedicated teen space. In addition, we propose showcasing teens' work, such as displaying their art or poetry on end caps and walls, and featuring their creations on bookshelves. Finally, we recommend creating a music room where teens can create, record, edit, and store music, videos, podcasts, and other forms of content, including live musical performances. Here are a few examples of performance spaces that have been successful at the Oodi Helsinki Central Library. Inspiration space. The inspiration space focuses on creating experiences that motivate teens to desire to spend time in the dedicated space. Customer service and the aesthetics of the space are essential in cultivating this atmosphere. We recommend hiring a teen services librarian for special projects and advertising the position as a temporary role for 6 months, excluding medical benefits. Hiring a teen services librarian can have several long lasting effects, including activation of the space by encouraging team participation and engagement. We also recommend incorporating vibrant, colorful, fun, and teen friendly decor and accessories, which could be chosen by teens. Here are a few ideas for inspiration spaces. Let's dive in into the breakdown for the teen room budget. For furniture and equipment, we're planning to spend $21,500. For decor and aesthetics, we're planning to spend $500. For the music room, we are planning to spend $10,000. For programming and supplies, we're planning to spend $2,000. And for the teen services librarian, we are planning to spend $31,200. And again, this amount was taken from the U.S. Department of Labor, specifically from the Occupational Outlook Handbook and the hourly rate provided in there. And we are asking for the teen room budget not to exceed $70,000.
Mr. Megabucks, our team stands behind the solutions outlined in our presentation. Through extensive research, we have identified that a budget not to exceed $1,405,000 is necessary to resolve the issues outlined in your report and ensure the transformation of any town library. On behalf of the team, we want to thank you for placing your trust in us, Mr. Megabucks. We look forward to working with you on future projects.